Frank Nazar is finally back for the Blackhawks. Where will he line up? How often will he play? Can he take hits to the face? All that and more coming up next, as well as Jeff Blashill and your mailbag questions on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast live from the Xfinity Loft. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. Chloe Thiel's here running the show. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're listening later on the podcast, follow or subscribe on your favorite app. And we haven't asked for this in a while. How about a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify? That goes a long way. We would appreciate that big time in celebration of the return of Frank Nazar. December 20th, the last time we saw Frank Nazar play. He has been on the ice for a couple weeks now. Full participant in practice today. Looked fast, looked good, and looked ready.
Yeah, I think he has got what the Blackhawks have been missing a little bit in the last stretch of games, where we've talked about their ability to score, their ability to play with speed, and kind of just be able to be in games consistently, be predictable. Nazar's got a lot of that. He's got a lot of rapport with the guys that he's that he has played with. I think guys get a feel for his game, and getting him back in the lineup is only beneficial to this team. So good to see that he's going to be back. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of speed and tenacity he plays with, knowing that he is kind of playing still with a little bit of protection needed for the jaw and everything. But hopefully he can be as back to 100% Frank as he can be. He's got the plastic kind of goes in front of his jaw. Jaw protection. No, he does not wearing the bubble like Bedard was wearing. It is literally just under the jaw. We're going to hear from him right now, and you'll be able to see on his right chin a nasty scar from this injury. So here's Frank Nazar after practice today.
You ready to get back into a game action finally?
Yeah, I've been ready for 4 weeks. Just now I'm allowed to. So ready to go.
How much did it help getting that extra practice in?
Yeah, I thought it was good to get up and down the sheet. Play with some guys that I'll probably be playing with, and really just get those touches in of game-like situations. So.
How do you feel, strength and just stamina-wise?
I felt great. I feel great. Yeah. Numbers look good. Everything looks good. So, I'm ready to go.
Did you lose any weight? Did you have to gain some of it back, and are you back to that normal point?
Yeah, I lost about probably like 7 or 8 pounds. I've gained probably like half of that back. So, but I'm pretty up there. My weight fluctuates throughout the year anyways, so it's pretty normal.
To just go with the regular, is that just to give yourself some breathing, not go full bubble?
It actually is just like doctor recommendation. Yeah, so it's like supposed to not put any pressure against my jaw or my chin, and it's just like safer than the bubble, I guess.
Any tips from Connor on coming back from it?
A little bit more so the tips for when it first happened, just what to eat, stuff like that. So.
You were back out there with Bert again today. What's been the key to the success you guys have had? It's like a big thing.
Honestly, I think it's his execution. I think really just his wall play is just so good. He always finds me with speed, kind of stuff like that, and then he gets to those dirty areas. So hopefully we can build that chemistry and find a few good plays coming out here.
What was that like meeting Caleb and PCA after the game the other day?
Yeah, it was sweet. They're really cool guys. They're awesome. Come in there and talk to us. They didn't have to do that. So it was really cool to see them and just have a conversation and ask some questions.
All right, there he is, Frank Nazar. I kept a close eye on him during practice today, and, you can only glean so much from a practice on a Wednesday afternoon, but looked fast, scored a really nice goal during one of the drills. He is chomping at the bit to get back, and I think something that maybe we've lost sight of a little bit is before the jaw and after the hip or whatever it was, the lower body injury, he was nowhere close to 100%. We know that he was struggling. We know that he wasn't at full speed, and the offense was sort of struggling here. Mm-hmm. This jaw, chin injury, whatever you want to call it, has given him the opportunity to also heal up the lower body he was dealing with.
Yeah,
so hopefully he's full speed.
You get a little time off, and if he needed to get some recovery, he's definitely got time for it. So again, like I wonder what version of him is coming back here. Hopefully it's a more 100% version of him that we saw at the beginning of the season. Could that be lofty expectations to have on him in his first game he's back? It might be, but he has felt, as he said there, he just wanted to get back to it. He said I've been ready to get back to it for 4 weeks, so that's how long he's been out. And I imagine his conditioning is going to be just fine because he's a young guy, and he's been able to skate for a bit. This isn't like this is the first time he's touched the ice in 4 weeks. Like, he's been able to have a little bit more of that ramp-up time, and I expect him to come back in and provide a little bit of a spark for the group.
Well, it just makes the team a lot deeper, and as we look at the lines from today, Nazar was centering the second line with Ryan Donato and Tyler Bertuzzi. Bedard was with Green and Burakovsky. Burakovsky back at practice today after dealing with what sounded like a family illness. It was kind of hard to...
Blashill didn't make it sound like it was the illness that ran through the team. It was something else.
Right.
Illness-related.
Yeah. Oliver Moore was with Nick Lardis and Landon Slaggert. Jason Dickinson with Foligno and Mikheyev, and then Lafferty and Dach were your extra forwards. D pair is the same. Vlasic, Crevier, Kaiser, Levshunov, Grzelcyk, Murphy, and obviously Knight and Soderblom in goal. So that line of Nazar, Bertuzzi, and Donato. Nazar and Bertuzzi have shown a lot of chemistry this year. When we posted these, somebody asked us on Twitter, like, why would Donato get on the second line? It almost feels like there's nowhere else for him to go because you like the way Moore and Lardis are playing together. I think Slaggert brings a lot to that line in terms of
speed and aggression.
Kind of what those two guys, they're both willing to go into the corners, but I think Slaggert really kind of thrives at that and does well in front of the net. So I think that's a nice complementary line. You're not going to play Slaggert on the second line. You're not going to play Foligno on the second line. You can maybe play Mikheyev, but you got Dickinson, Foligno, Mikheyev as your shutdown line. That is truly your checking line. Mm-hmm. So I think Donato is just kind of the guy that can go up and down the lineup, and he's the one that kind of needs a spot filled in there. So I don't mind him in that spot on that second line with Nazar and Bertuzzi, two guys who are willing to shoot the puck. Let Donato simplify the game, because those other two, for as much skill as Nazar has, he does play that simple game the Hawks have been looking for.
Yeah, he still is a guy that will play to the center of the ice and use his speed to create down the middle. And yeah, I mean, Donato, we've praised his versatility in the last season and a half, 2 seasons. Last year, being able to be on the top line alongside Connor Bedard, and then also play on the fourth line at times. Like, he has that ability in that game that can kind of just translate based off of what you need out of him. And I think putting him with Nazar and Burakovsky, or Bertuzzi rather, is good, because it's like you have guys that'll go to the net, you have guys that can go and get pucks, you have guys that can play at both ends of the ice. Donato can do all of that, and it allows him to kind of open up as like Nazar is a pretty good shooter. He's a pretty good distributor. Bertuzzi is, I think, got more skill than we give him credit for, but his bread and butter game is go to the net and, create within that 10-foot radius around the net. So maybe Donato can be more of a shooter style guy where, it doesn't necessarily have to be the only guy that's going to go get the puck or the only guy that's going to be a little bit more defensively responsible. He can be a guy that can be a little bit more offensively, his game can be geared towards get to areas where you can get your shot off. And I think that's something we've asked of him at times this year, of like, don't be the dangler that you want to be.
You're just
be
not.
the shooter that you were
It's
last
okay.
season to the tune of 30 goals. And a lot of those were going to the net. So I think if you give him guys that play that style, it'll allow him to kind of flow into that part of his game and just kind of fit right in, hopefully. And I think it gives two guys that aren't the fastest in Donato and Bertuzzi some speed with Nazar. So I think it works.
I really do want to see Donato get back to what got him here, right? And last year he scored 31 goals, and you never saw him try to be Jaromir Jagr on ice, trying to skate through people, stick handle around, toe drag. It's just not his game. And I don't know if he's maybe pressing a little bit. We've seen this with sort of the team in general where, things start to go sideways offensively, so they're all trying to be perfect. And you heard Jeff Blashill sort of allude to that after the last couple losses.
Yeah.
So maybe that's happening with him too, where he's like, I have to have a perfect play here to make this happen. But no, you don't. No, you don't. You look at the goal Jason Dickinson scored against Winnipeg. He didn't have a great option, didn't have a great look, but just kind of put it on net, and it fooled Connor Hellebuck, and it got through traffic, and it went in. That's how these goals are scored, and I hope they get the message here, and hopefully playing with two pretty straightforward players in Nazar and Bertuzzi gets Donato doing it. I think it also takes a little bit of pressure off Donato to have to be the goal scorer on that line. So we'll see. A couple of people in the chat said they'd rather see Donato sit than Dach. I wouldn't mind that right now because I do think that maybe Ryan Donato could use a bit of a reset, but I don't think we're there yet because I think he's been playing some frustrating hockey, but I don't think he's been playing detrimental hockey where it's really hurting the team. Not to say Colton Dach is either, but I think they're going to give the veteran who has scored 31 goals a little more leeway than they're going to give a young player who we really don't know how they feel about Colton Dach's future here. He was very much in danger of being scratched the last couple games, but Burakovsky gets sick, Tavo gets injured, and he's back in. But who knows? And now it looks like he'll be the guy that sits. Someone, I think it was Green Eyes in the chat, said they have to make a roster decision now, don't they? They don't have to do that until Tavo returns. And Jeff Blashill talked about Tavo. We'll hear from Jeff Blashill in the next segment. He's expected back before the Olympics, so they can put that decision off for a little while. But yeah, someone's going to have to go down.
Yeah. It's interesting with Dach because it's just like there's definitely an aspect of his game that sticks out. That's the physical side of things. But it kind of comes down to like how does he use that? Like just running out there and being a hits guy is one thing, but are you able to evolve into you're a power forward, you're a physical guy, so when the puck is in your zone, you're going to the front of the net, you're parking yourself in front of the goalie, and you're winning position battles there and being a screen and being a tip guy? Or are you still trying to be a little bit more of a offensive creator kind of thing, which he was in junior, and early in the AHL he was more of an offensive contributor for the Ice Hogs, but I don't think that that's going to be his thing in the NHL. So I don't know. I think maybe finding that game that's going to keep you here for the long term is going to be important, and being the physical guy, being the power guy is kind of the role that's going to get him there. And I wonder if he can just kind of lean into that more because he's had opportunities on the power play, Dach has. And there have been a lot of times where I see him like at the half boards and I'm like, what's he doing out there? Like play in the center, play down the middle of the ice. I know that they like to have fluidity on the power play and guys interchange positions and everything. But some guys don't need to be on the perimeter.
Right.
Some guys are built to be between the dots or in front of the net.
I really would like him to just go to school and just if Colton Dach's going to have success in his league, he's going to be a Tyler Bertuzzi clone. He's going to and he's got kind of a similar skill set, right? Got decent hands, physical, willing to engage. The knock on Dach, aside from health, has always been consistency. Is he willing to show up and compete night after night after night? And that is something that Tyler Bertuzzi had to shake I mean, really until this year was the consistency. You'd have games where he was an absolute menace for 60 minutes, and then you'd have 2 weeks go by where he was a non-factor.
Right.
This year he's been a factor in every game. And I don't know if it's a Jeff Blashill thing. I don't know if it's just he's more bought in this year for whatever reason.
Could be.
But I will say Bertuzzi does play on those half boards now and again. But I think, again, that's a guy that has earned that right.
And I think he's probably got more skill than Dach does, player for player.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's shown more. It's hard to say because I do think Dach has some, for a guy his size, like pretty good hands.
Yeah, he does.
You know, Bertuzzi just seems to have this second nature about being that net front, guy who can tip pucks, and he's always jumping in the air, and he's got kind of this. He has learned how to
does a lot
master
of
that style
out there.
Yeah, he is a high. What do we call it? A high activity player,
high event
player for sure.
I think it's gonna be interesting when they have to make this roster decision with who's gonna go down and how it's gonna benefit the player that goes down. I think because it'd be nice to be like, oh, you just send down Slaggert or Dach or Lafferty or whatever, and you don't think about it. But I mean, we could talk about this in a little bit, but like maybe Nick Lardis goes back to Rockford and plays top line 20 minutes and goes back to that spot.
Well, I'm glad you said that. Jeff Blashill sort of addresses this in his post practice presser today. So let's hit the break zone. When we come back, we'll hear from Jeff Blashill and jump off that point coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks.
What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi, and what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That is the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, can find and fix problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And it lets you stream the game even when the whole family is online. All of your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And the best part is there's no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and it includes Xfinity's best equipment. You can lock in your price and unlock possibilities with Xfinity. You can learn more at xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions do apply. Love working with Xfinity. Customer service is great. The loft has been wonderful.
It is wonderful.
Get yourself some Xfinity Wi-Fi for 5 years.
Nice and toasty. And winter is here if you've not noticed. How is your home's heating holding up? Are you warm and toasty at night, or are you cold? Well, now is the time to schedule your 4 Seasons furnace tune-up. It's time. Don't wait another moment. Save up to $4,000 on furnaces and comfort systems with 4 Seasons heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electric. Furnaces, they start at $39 a month. Furnace AC combos from $57 a month. Combos. Call today and save $50 from your trusted local experts. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years, so you know you're going to get the best work done. Visit 4seasonsheatingcooling.com to take a look at all their special offers and their money-saving coupons. Again, that's 4seasonsheatingcooling.com. Get that furnace service before your house freezes over in this cold winter.
Really, really cold. Get it checked out.
All right, we are back on CHGO Blackhawks in the Xfinity Loft. Let's go over to Fifth Third Arena. Wait, the Blackhawks Ice Center?
Not yet officially.
I have to get used to that. Is that what it is? Blackhawks Ice Center?
Blackhawks Ice Center.
Okay.
Should be opened officially next week.
Next week at some point.
Yeah,
it looks awesome. But here's Jeff Blashill after practice today.
Looks like Frank Nazar is good to go for tomorrow?
Yeah, we anticipate him being in the lineup, full go today, and excited to have him back.
Burakovsky too?
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. With Tavo, I think he did something on the other rink earlier this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you expect him back before the Olympics, or is that even a question mark right now?
When is the Olympics? Before.
Okay.
I can't say 100%, but I don't anticipate. It's not something where we're like he won't be back before that. You know what I mean? So it's still kind of a day-to-day thing. He's not going to travel, so he's not playing tomorrow. But after that, I would just take it day by day.
And good that he got back on the ice today. Every step is progress.
Yeah, and he's been on the ice a little bit. It's just been early, so he's been on the ice. So at some point we got to get him back into practice, and that's when I'd have a better update.
are these roster decisions getting tougher, especially with some young guys that kind of making some decisions on the play or not play?
Yeah, I think I think it's a good thing. Number one, to have tough roster decisions. Certainly, we are mindful of the long-term development of some of the young players. And so, we're trying to put guys in, positions that they can succeed. So if it gets to a point with a young guy that maybe if one's not playing, you look at potentially using Rockford, but that we'll take that when it comes. We're not there yet at all.
What's it been like as a coach where you get one guy back, then another one goes down, and you kind of had to navigate some lineup decisions?
Yeah. I mean, it's I think the last few have been a little bit crazy just because of the sickness is one that makes it way harder because you don't know that until the onset of it. So, but that's just part of it. It's nothing that we haven't been through as a coaching staff. I think every guy has been through something like this, and you just got to handle it and move on. And I think the biggest thing messaging wise is we're on a nightly basis have 20 good enough to win. You got to go with zero excuse and go try to win a hockey game.
Is it kind of just coincidence having both Connor and Frank come back on a start of a back-to-back?
Coincidence. Yeah, just the way with those particular injuries, you can play it back-to-back. The only ones you probably worry about is like a groin maybe or something like that. But other than that, back-to-back's back-to-back.
What have you liked from the more Lardis Lager one?
I think Morsey and Lars, we've played together a lot. They played together in the minors a little bit. There's a little bit of chemistry there. I thought, with Morsey, with all three of them, they can all skate. There's a lot of tenacity on the line. Certainly when you add Slags to that, it gives you some of that tenacity, some disruption on the forecheck, ability to get to the net and be a net front presence guy. Not that the other two aren't asked to share some of that responsibility, but it's nice if you can have a line where you have a guy that's a net front presence guy, and it's just more natural for that to happen. So, it's again, they've kind of had some chemistry, and hopefully they can continue to build it.
Levshunov mentioned that he's been working with Brian Kane over the last week, just working on his shots, maybe creating some more velocity. Is that an area where you think maybe he can capitalize on those scoring chances?
Yeah, 100%. He's had tons of prime shot opportunities in the slot that we just want to help him kind of, his I would say his mechanics of it aren't great, but he's so strong, he's kind of gotten by without it. And so we're trying to help his shooting mechanics a little bit to help give him a little bit more, not just velocity on the shot, but also, to create a little more deception with it. He gets locked in, and so the deception isn't what we think it can be. So, part of our thing with him is growing him in all areas of the game, and that's a huge one. If he, he could have 10 goals right now if he scored on some of those opportunities.
There's almost 2 trade deadlines this year. You coached through one, but with the Olympic freeze, is that maybe made for some unique conversations with Kyle already?
I wouldn't say that per se, but certainly there is it's a unique year that way that there may be some activity before over the next week and a half, but we'll see. I think a lot of times what happens is the GMs a lot of times are at the World Juniors and they come back from that and there's some activity and then it settles down a little bit, and so we'll see if it continues to if it settles down, if it heats up here, we'll see.
All right, there's Jeff Blashill today after practice. I want to put a note in the Levshunov stuff I thought was interesting too. Mm-hmm. But talking about the roster decision and what's best for development. And before we hit the break zone, you sort of mentioned maybe it is Nick Lardis who goes down, and that would not be or should not be viewed as any sort of punishment, or maybe it's Oliver Moore, whoever it is, insert name here, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a punishment or a demotion. It's, hey, if we're not going to have you in a lineup every night, you need to be playing. Mm-hmm. And that could be the best thing for someone like Lardis or Moore if they're not going to be getting top 6 or even top 9 minutes.
Right. I mean, you don't want those guys sitting and not playing. You want those guys playing. When Tavo gets back, you're one guy too many, and you have Dach and Lafferty already on the outside. It could be easy to say, okay, your guys on the outside are Dach, Lafferty, and Slaggert, because I think skill for skill, that would give you the most skilled lineup to have those 3 out. But I think then you're not sending down Dach, because you want to have the ability to play him.
Right.
Same thing with Slaggert because of his versatility. And I don't think they're sending down Lafferty because I think they're trying to do him, I would imagine, do him a solid of, if you don't want to be here anymore eventually, that maybe some team says, here's future considerations for an NHL body that we need. Who knows?
Or they waive him.
Or they could waive him and say anyone can take you. That could be one thing. But I think if they want to give him a little bit of that control, because he's seemingly been, the good soldier in this situation where, he's playing like once every 2 weeks or whatever it is. That's kind of the situation you're in. But then if you're sending a guy down to Rockford, like they still need the help, right? Because a lot of these guys that they expected to have for majority of the season aren't there. They're up here. And I think if you're looking at it, like Oliver Moore and Nick Lardis have worked well together, both in Rockford and up in Chicago.
Yeah.
But between the two, the guy that I think is more solidified in the you can't send him down category is Oliver Moore.
I agree.
And as much as it's been great to have Nick Lardis up here, I think if guys are getting knocked down the lineup because Tavo's back, I think you want to have Lardis in a position where he's going to be a skill guy, and being in the bottom 6 or 4th line rotation or whatever, that doesn't benefit him at all.
I think
so if you give if he ends up being the guy that goes down, he goes to Rockford. He plays 20 minutes. He's on the top line. He was named an AHL All-Star. So if they're expecting Tavo to be back before the Olympic break, you could put Nick Lardis back down in Rockford, tears it up in Rockford, and then he's there during the Olympic break.
And remember, after the
All-Star
Olympics,
game
you've got 9 days to the deadline.
Right.
And I think Nick Lardis, if he is sent down, it's very temporary. It is until they make a trade or someone gets hurt or whatever it might be.
Right.
But I just think it makes a lot of sense for him to be playing wherever he goes. And someone said in the chat, Williams says, if Lardis did get sent down, I don't think it would affect his confidence. I don't think so either. I think he's very aware of his ability. He's a very confident player. He also knows he's here because injuries happened. He's here because Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar got hurt, and they needed an offensive player to come up here and help. And I think he's done a really good job. I've been really pleased with Nick Lardis, and I think that he has looked further along in his development and looks closer to being a full-time NHL player than I thought he would when he was called up. So I'm not advocating for him to be sent down, but I'm saying if that's what Jeff Blashill's thinking, and it sounded from the comments in the press conference that maybe that could be where they're leaning because they want to do what's best for development, I'm okay with it. Because I do think, look, they could make a deal before the deadline. If it comes to the point where Tavo's back, and the expectation is that is before so the last game before the Olympics is February 4th. That's the last game before the break.
Yeah.
They expect him back before then. If everybody's healthy, maybe they do pull the trigger on a Jason Dickinson deal. Or maybe they do waive Sam Lafferty and send him to Rockford for a while. But then you got to figure out, where is his spot going to be, Nick Lardis? Where is his spot going to be if your top 6 is fully intact with Tavo and Lardis, or with Tavo and Nazar and Bertuzzi and Burakovsky and Bedard and Green? Maybe you start giving Lardis a look with Bedard and move Green down a little bit. But I really like the way Ryan Green has played on the top line.
I don't think Jeff Blashill's moving Ryan Green away from
Bedard. The numbers haven't been there for him, but the opportunities have. And he's setting things up beautifully. He just plays a really predictable style of hockey and complements that line really well. So, I don't know. It's a good problem to have.
Trade freeze is 2 p.m. Central Time on February 4th.
Okay.
So that is the trade freeze, and teams cannot practice between February 6th and the 16th. So as far as, Olympic time off and things like that, and that, that pseudo trade deadline before then, that's the lead up to it. And there's only going to be a couple roster spots opened up through the trade deadline. If they're moving Dickinson, if they're moving Murphy, if it's Mikheyev, who knows? I would be in favor of keeping him around.
Me too.
On a short-term deal, but maybe he wants to explore elsewhere. Who knows with some of these guys? So there's only so many roster spots that are going to be opened. So I mean, Lardis would be a guy that I would say if Dickinson's gone, if Mikheyev's gone, that gives you enough opportunity to put him back up. But also for how long? Because you imagine Frondell will be here before the end of the season. There's a lot of juggling to do. As Jeff Blashill said, like, it's a good position to be in where you have to make these tough roster decisions. And could we be in a place where it's just like, well, as time has gone on and as these players have been able to develop and stuff, do you find redundancies in your prospects? We've seen Nolan Allen already traded. Do you just see like a logjam of talent and same style of players just kind of get stuck? So maybe it could be Landon Slaggert might eventually be a guy that's just phased out because versatile, speedy, grindy, gritty forwards are good to have, but you have a couple of those guys already. Could Colton Dach eventually get phased out if he doesn't find if these guys don't find NHL roles for them consistently? That could also be possible with power forwards like Boisvert and Frondell and Spellacy coming into the fold. Like, this is a time where now it's kind of getting down to crunch time of like the numbers game and who's really on that path to being full-time NHLers. Like, you really have to figure out what you have. Yeah. Because this is the point of Davidson's rebuild, is stockpile all these young, talented guys, and then you have too many of them, which is a good thing, and then you figure out, you kind of weed through and you find your best.
It's better to have too many than not enough, that's for sure. All right, we're going to hit the break zone again, continue this conversation, and I do want to talk a little bit about the Levshunov stuff that Blashill was talking about too. All that next on CHGO Blackhawks live from the Xfinity Loft.
Can you believe we are 3 weeks into 2026 already? That doesn't mean it's time to move away from your goals. Huel is a perfect solution for high-protein routine support for busy days, for habit building, convenience, and control this year when you are looking to get the most out of being healthy and going to the gym. I got a Huel package in the mail, and I've got so much product that my muscles just can't handle how much protein powder I'm going to pack in there.
It's the third shirt he's worn today. Just
35 grams of protein in each serving. What's great for me for Huel is that it is gluten-free, so I can have it anytime I want, when I'm on the go, when I'm at the gym, and I can hit my protein goals. And you can too. You can get Huel today with the exclusive code Blackhawks15, and that's going to give you 15% off anything on their website on orders of $50 or more. That is for new customers only. But I want to thank Huel for partnering with us, supporting our show. And if you're busy, Huel is a game changer.
And whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills, we got a couple right here, has you covered with performance and style. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have a partnership with 40 colleges, including 10 Big Ten schools. That's all of them, right? 10?
It used to be.
As part of their campus collection, that includes Ohio State, Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, Penn State, Purdue, and those jerks at USC. Head to brandedbills.com and use the code BBCHGO for 15% off your first order. Again, go to brandedbills.com. Use our code BBCHGO for 15% off. All right, so a lot of conversation in the chat about this topic about Nick Lardis going down or someone else going down. A lot of people asking about Andrei Burakovsky and why he is just automatically given a spot on the top line or the top six. The point production's there. I think he can be a very frustrating player because he'll go spans without really doing much, kind of turn the puck over a lot. I am not, I'm not one of the people that says he has to play every game in the top six. I'd like to see a little more from him, honestly.
I mean, he's a guy that has the skill that fits in the top six. But yeah, I agree. The puck management and the turnovers have been pretty rough recently. But I think getting him back into a groove with Bedard and with Green, I think will be helpful for him. because that's when he was, I think, playing his most productive. So you get a stretch of games without that group together. Now you can get to see them a little bit more together. See what comes of it. There's no guys on this team that I feel are anchored into a spot, etched in stone, anything like that. Other than, at this stage, Connor Bedard is your top center option. Other than that, like, the lineup can be as fluid as you want it to be. But I think what we've seen from Jeff Blashill that we haven't seen the last 2 years, especially with Connor Bedard, is the consistency with who they're playing with. And I think if you wanted to shake things up, you could move Burakovsky around. But if you want that consistency for Bedard, that predictability, having these guys play together more often is kind of the process that I can understand from Blashill's standpoint.
I think it's a safe bet, too, that Connor Bedard is being asked about this.
Who he wants to play with?
I would think so. I would think he's
Sure,
got a little bit of say. I mean, I don't think he's in there drawing the lines himself, but I think, Blashill's probably said to him, like, hey, how are things working? You and Andre feel like you're on the same page? And Connor's the kind of guy that would confidently say what he believes about that. So I think that does play a role. And look, like, Burakovsky has 30 points in 43 games. Last year, he had 37 points in 79 games, so the production is up there for him. He's getting more opportunity. He's getting more ice time, obviously, so that makes a difference. Mm-hmm. I also think we do have to give a little bit of grace here to a new baby. He does go home every night to his family and a crying infant and an exhausted wife, and there's been illness going around the team. There's been illness going around his house. So is it an excuse? Yes. Is it probably valid? Yes. If he is not feeling 100% of Andre Burakovsky right now, it would be very much understandable. So I'm going to give him a little bit of grace there, but I would like to see him, even if the puck isn't going in, I want to see him be more positively impactful game to game to game.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we've seen from Ryan Green. Like, the counting stats are not jumping off the page. Putting the puck in the back of the net's not been his strong suit this season as a rookie. But the chance generation has been there, and the chemistry has been built with Bedard, and the responsibility is there, being able to play both down the middle and on the wing. Like, you can have guys that can impact the game without necessarily getting on the stat sheet. But in Burakovsky's case, being a guy that's done it before in the past, like, you'd want him to be able to impact the game and finish those chances when he does create them. And I think the turnovers thing, too, I think that's got to tighten up. But I think, again, getting back to kind of that predictability and simplifying the game across the board is going to help this team, but especially like when you have guys going through stretches where a lot of times the puck's coming off their stick and it's going the other direction. Simplifying the game and having that mentality will cut that down.
Yeah, I think he's just. I think Andre Burakovsky just kind of is what he is. There's a reason he's moved from team to team to team. He is a replacement level top six player who can put up some points, play with some speed, carry the puck, but he's not the sort of guy that's gonna majorly shift the impact of a team one way or the other.
On a better team, he's a good option as a second liner, a great option as a third liner.
Right.
And I think with this team, with what they're still operating with, he plays in your top six. And, he's signed through next season. It's not a guy that's part of the long-term plans, I wouldn't imagine. He's not playing like it. And you have to have players like that until Moore and Lardis and all these guys, and Frondell and all that, are ready to be put into those roles on a full-time basis. So if he's, a de facto top six player for the rest of the season and next, but then after next season, your top six is populated with all these prospects and all these kids and all these young talented players, that's what you're building towards. So I think at this stage, I know there's no, dagger in the heart of their playoff hopes, but I think it's still an outside reach to think that they're going to be in the wild card chase. So you're not trying to add, you're not trying to, think about like, oh, how are we gonna match lineups to go on a playoff push or anything like that? Because even still fully healthy, like this team is still just feels just on the outside.
Yeah.
So I'm
which is
if Burakovsky's in your top 6, it's still fine.
Yeah, and it's a huge upgrade from where they've been.
Yeah,
and huge.
He was traded for Joe Veleno.
Yes,
like
exactly.
That's a huge upgrade.
Reven says he could score 1,000 points a year, but when you negatively impact the games like he does with terrible puck management, the points are irrelevant. So Jeff Blashill has talked about many times about their own internal metrics, and he talks a lot about the pluses and minuses, not in terms of the stat we all know and follow, but it's positive impact on a play, negative impact on a play, on a game, etc. And it's something that they monitor closely as a team. So they must be seeing something from Burakovsky that they really, really like. And look, like, yeah, he turns the puck over a little more than we would like, but I do think he has been a net positive this year. I just want to see him. And really, like, the whole team hasn't been scoring. It's not just him. We went back over it in the postgame last game, and the Hawks, like, over their last few games, have scored so few goals. So it's hardly just him. You had 2 against the Jets. 1 was an empty netter. You had 2 against the Bruins. You had 1 against the Flames. You had 1 against the Oilers. You had 3 against the Predators and 1 against the Caps. All that after the 7-3 win over the Blues. But after that, all the offense dried up. They just have not been scoring goals. So, yeah, Burakovsky hasn't been, but no one has really been putting the puck in the net. So it's kind of a team-wide situation here. And Frank Nazar coming back is going to give other teams someone else that they have to prepare for, someone else they have to be aware of, someone else they have to defend. And I don't know if you look up and down the Hawks roster offensively, if aside from Bedard, there's really anyone like that you have to know at all times where this guy is. I think that it's Bedard, it's Nazar. I could probably make an argument for Bertuzzi, and maybe when he's playing well, Burakovsky, but Nazar certainly is number 2 on that list.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to open up even if Nazar himself isn't putting the puck in the net or racking up the points, I think that just his presence is going to help open up offense for a lot of other players, and I hope so, because he could not come back at a better time.
Yeah. I mean, looking at you're talking about like the internal data with the Hawks and what they value, and Jeff Blashill obviously goes towards scoring chances. This is from Natural Stat Trick. So in this conversation, it's the public model. It's not the Blackhawks internal model, which they value more. But it's the public model. And at 5-on-5 this season, Andre Burakovsky is sixth amongst forwards in individual scoring chances created per 60. 6.5. He is 5th in individual high danger chances scored or chances created per 60 amongst forwards. Do you know who the top 2 in individual scoring chances created per 60 amongst Blackhawks forwards
because you're asking
at 5-on-5?
Because you're asking me, I'm going to think it's not the people we think it is. I'm going to say Ryan Green.
No.
Damn.
He is 8th.
Okay.
This is just amongst forwards.
Amongst forwards. Okay.
Individual scoring chances at 5-on-5 per 60 minutes played.
Well, let's see. Maybe you're not throwing me off the scent. Bedard
is 4th.
Okay. Tavo?
15th.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How about Donato? Is it better than we think?
7th. Burakovsky is 6th.
Bertuzzi?
3rd.
Is Nazar first?
Nazar is 5th.
Give it to me.
Number 2, Nick Lardis. 8.8 individual scoring chances created per 60. Number 1, Landon Slaggert.
Oh, Landon Slaggert.
9.5 individual scoring chances per 60 at 5-on-5. Now, Landon Slaggert's played 233 minutes at 5-on-5.
Yeah.
Nick Lardis has played 183 minutes at 5-on-5. Tyler Bertuzzi has played 667 minutes at 5-on-5, and Connor Bedard has played 582 minutes at 5-on-5. So the total minutes are different, but again, in the per 60 breakdown, it takes it kind of basically into a game by game average. So, I mean, for Burakovsky, like, he's your fifth and sixth best forward in those categories, and I think he's a guy that's where you'd want him to be. Like, you want him to be one of the top guys that can be in those metrics. And I think, again, the turnover thing, that's one thing where simplifying the game, decision making, think less about what you're doing and play off more of that instinct and that predictability. I think the team is going to get back to that. I hope they do. Carolina tomorrow is going to be a tough test. That's a team that you're not going to dictate the game.
Carolina and Tampa
Carolina.
back to back.
Yeah, you're not going to dictate the game in either of those games.
Right.
So you got to take what's given to you. I hope the team plays like they did, or at least within that mentality like they did against Winnipeg, because they played that style, and you come away with a win.
All right, we're going to hit the break zone one last time. Couple mailbag questions we've got standing by. We got to pay off a couple super chats from last game that we missed. Our bad on that. And let's talk about this Levshunov thing when we come back on CHGO Blackhawks.
New vehicles are in store at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and this is your chance to score a great deal at the Ray Resolution Sales Event. Head to Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventories of new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams' vehicles, and right now get 0% financing for 72 months and no payments until spring on new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams' models. Plus, you can shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With a friendly team of brand experts, the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. And since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons and no hidden fees ever. Price you see is the price you pay. So don't miss out on the Ray Resolution Sales Event for huge savings on new models. For more information, visit Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
And there's nothing better than being at an NHL game. Ask QB number 18 or center fielder number 4. I don't know if I can use their names. Get tickets with the Game Time app. It gives you the advantage back. It's a hack for unlocking amazing deals and experiences in just a few taps. Super easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you're going to get tickets that are 100% authentic and at the best price, and fees are always included, so there's no surprises on the back end. If it says $50, it's $50, no surprises. And if you're going to a new building, you want to make sure you're not going to have a giant pole in front of you. No, not me, an actual structural pole. You don't want that. Get a panoramic view from your seat. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use our code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, before we get to the Levshunov thing, I see some chat talking about the rumor that Jason Dickinson would fetch a second and a prospect incorrectly assigned to Elliot Friedman in the chat. It was actually Frank Nazar on the pregame show the other night.
That's where we heard it first.
Yes, and he also referenced Kiefer Sherwood's deal and the Mason Marchment deal as kind of like somewhere in between those. So just real quick, we're going to get into this on a mini pod later this week in longer form, but the Sharks traded a second-round pick and defenseman Cole Clayton to the Canucks for Kiefer Sherwood. Cole Clayton, not really a prospect. 25-year-old defenseman, undrafted, 5 points in 33 games with the San Jose Barracuda. So that was not a prospect. And I think Kiefer Sherwood had a higher market than Jason Dickinson will have. Mason Marchment, the other one, got a second and a fourth in that trade. So if you're talking in that kind of a range for Jason Dickinson, okay, the second-round pick sounds great. But I would just say when you hear second and a prospect, temper your expectations for what a prospect is.
Yeah, I think if Jason Dickinson gets you a second-round pick plus, that's a win.
Yeah,
that's a win, because that's a guy that a contender is going to say, you're a rental, you're going to play in our bottom six, maybe even fourth line. You probably are going to be like a PK guy or you're going to be a defensive zone draw guy, and maybe you'll chip in offensively. Like if a contender says that, they're not giving up much more than, what's being rumored out there. So, if the Hawks get a second-round draft pick from a contender, it's probably in the 50s or early 60s potentially. That's fine. And then, if it's another mid-round pick, it's always good to have picks to use for trades on draft day or anything like that, moving up, moving down, whatever you want to do. I don't know how many more prospects they want because
that's the thing.
Because they have
running
5
out of roster
picks
spots
in the first 2 rounds this year's draft.
They're running out of contracts.
We're talking about it's already becoming a numbers game with the young guys. I don't know how many more
23
early 20s players you want to throw into the fire.
But
if they do, okay.
35.
They're
42.
They're not up against it with contracts.
44 contracts they have.
Yeah, they're not up against it really, but you got to think
you're going to get a draft class in here.
Yeah, and with contracts, like you're very likely giving one to Boisvert.
Yes.
Spellacy, Vanacker. Those guys are already signed, though, I think.
Yeah, Spellacy, Vanacker is signed.
Frondell
is signed. Ludwinski, Thompson, Misiak, Hayes, and Savoie are signed through next year. Vanacker and Frondell through 27-28.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, more will be coming. But anyway, just to throw a little note in there about that. All right, Levshunov. So, I had not really noticed what they were talking about with his shot. I know that it feels like he should have way more goals than he has, but Levshunov working with Brian Keane, the Hawks skating and skills coach, working on improving his shot technique. I thought that was very interesting. Mm-hmm. It's not something I had really, because when I see Artie shoot, there's always a lot on it. It's one of those heavy shots.
He is a powerful kid.
Yeah.
Whether it's his skating or his shot, there is a lot of power behind it. I think the good thing for him is working with a guy like Brian Keane to work on refining that power and using it properly. Can only be beneficial because that's been the narrative with Levshunov basically since he's been picked. It's just like there's a lot of athleticism and raw tools there. So now you gotta sharpen them and make sure that they're you're maximizing what those raw tools are. So it's good to see that he's putting in the extra effort, trying to find those different edges to the game that's gonna make him even more effective. To use your shot more would be great. Just having a bomb of a slap shot or something, that's wonderful. But if it's not effective, if it doesn't get anywhere, if it doesn't get to a dangerous area or get put on net more often than not, it's useless.
Well, the word that Blashill used was deception, right? Like, so if a defenseman is lining up for a clapper from the point, it's pretty easy to block, right? You know where it's coming from. That's one of the things, aside from the velocity on Connor Bedard's shot, is his ability to change the angle of it. Mm-hmm. And that's why you kept hearing the term generational about his shot, because he did have that ability to get it off quickly from all different angles. And you could see him trick goalies into thinking it's coming from this angle, but it's a few degrees to the left or right, and it completely throws them off. And even if it doesn't go in, it requires how many times do we see goalies make saves on Bedard where they're like a shoulder up?
Yeah,
or it's like a stick,
like it barely catches the knob of their stick or something.
Exactly, because that means that they're deceived by his shot, and I think that's something they need to add to Levshunov. So it's just an interesting thing to see the coaching staff catch quickly and address right away. All right, let's get these super chats real quick. We're really sorry that we didn't get these in the post game show. Just kind of lost track of time after a super long day. Adrian sent us a $50 super chat.
Thank you, Adrian.
Saying that Dickinson goal was the goal of the year so far. Thank you for the $50, Adrian. It was up there. And Brandon, Brandon super chat just like every game. It feels like he says, "I was there for the last game as a Hawk, and was there for his return. Taves will always be a Hawk." That is true.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
so thanks for that.
Can't say enough about that night and how well it was done by the Hawks, and just how much Taves got from the fans. It was well deserved.
Very, very cool. All right, let's get to some of these mailbag questions, shall we? How many do we have? Like 2, 3?
We have 4, but 2 of them are kind of the same question.
All right.
So Alex A. Swiss and Windy City Hockey both have a similar question and track of mind. It's about the Rangers. the not rebuilding but retooling but trading everybody but keeping everybody Rangers, talking about Alexis Lafreniere, and would he be someone that would make sense for the Rangers to trade, to get cap flexibility, to get assets back, and for the Hawks to maybe use as a reclamation project, and as a mid-20s forward who's got over 400 NHL games played, so he's a veteran on this group, and be able to be serviceable.
So he is 24 years old. He is signed at $7.45 million through 2031-32.
This is year one of a 7-year extension.
If I'm the Rangers and I'm retooling, I'm not moving on from that contract.
You've locked yourself into Alexis Lafreniere.
Right, and I think you're better trying to see if you can get anything close to what you thought he was going to be. Remember, he was in like the Bedard, like number 1 overall without a doubt conversation.
The narrative, yeah.
Like that was the conversation from a couple years before his draft.
He was getting compared to Sidney Crosby.
Right, so there's something there. Now maybe just New York is too much for him. I don't know. I don't want to put that on him. They've also always been a veteran team, so he's never really been given a huge opportunity. And look, I'll admit I am not locked in on everything Rangers, so granted, but I don't feel like he's been given the opportunity to be the guy there.
From a Hawks perspective, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Because he's in that age range where it fits the window. He has a skill set that would be complementary to a lot of the young guys that they have. And he makes a contract that is, it's fixed for 7 years. So you know how much you're paying for him. And for the near future, it's a player that gets you to the cap floor that also is actively playing for your team. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For the Rangers, makes absolutely zero sense. Because a good question that was brought up on the Steve Dangle podcast recently was, what is the core? Who are the core of the Rangers? Beyond the veterans that you're likely trading, like
that's a good question.
Zibanejad and Miller and Trocheck. That's their core right now. Who's the next core? Their best player is Gabe Perreault, right? So you need to build up a prospect system. You need to build up a future. Will Cooley's there?
Yeah, Will Cooley.
Lafreniere is part of that core. So if you're moving on from Lafreniere, who you invested in, you made him the number 1 pick, you gave him a lot of opportunities. You didn't have to give him this big, giant 7-year investment extension. So he's part of that group.
Yeah, they don't really have a young core at all.
Yeah. So if I'm the Rangers,
your goalies are 40-year-old Jonathan Quick and 30-year-old Igor Shesterkin. Your youngest defenseman is Braden Schneider. He's 24. Oh, Scott Morrow is 23.
Yeah, but Schneider is you're probably hanging on to him.
I would think so.
You're probably locked into Gavrikov. You just extended what's his name? Borgen.
Yeah.
You have Adam Fox. And then up front it's Gabe Perreault, it's Cooley, and it's Lafreniere. Like that's your future for the time being. So
I also feel like they're going
to
be stuck with JT Miller for a while.
Hey, that's
because at this point, if you're an NHL team, are you going anywhere near JT Miller?
I wouldn't want him.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
No. So I think if you're looking at the Rangers as like who makes sense to the Hawks, there's players there, but they also because they're now going into this retool, not a rebuild, quote unquote. They need those players too.
Boy, they might be better off.
They're kind of screwed.
Just doing what the Hawks did, and I know that's hard. It's a tough pill to swallow for an original 16, but like, there's no real way out of this because they're not going to be bad enough to get a generational stud draft pick unless maybe lottery balls fall a certain way by mistake and they get one.
Far be it for an original 6 franchise to win the draft lottery.
Right, but it's just I don't see a way out of this for them. This is a team that said we're trying to win the Stanley Cup, and it's just not happening. And even like they're really good. Like if you're saying like which Ranger has a ton of value. By the way, we're going to go to overtime here. So if you're watching us on fast channels, that's your Roku, that's your Xfinity, that's your Samsung, whatever, switch on over to allchgo.com to continue the conversation. We'll do about 10 more minutes today. Who on that team has the most value in a trade? It probably is Zibanejad, right? He's 32. I'm not talking about for the Hawks.
Just overall.
I'm just talking about like overall, who is the most valuable Ranger?
Probably.
Shesterkin would be.
That you would say doesn't fit the we are keeping him around
right
with the rebuild. Yeah, Zibanejad or maybe Trocheck would be the top two guys that I would look at. They're keeping Shesterkin, yeah, and they're keeping Adam Fox.
Right.
So, I mean, you could, yeah. I think as far as pure value, it's probably Zibanejad. But again, he's locked in for a long time, so at least it's cost controlled.
He's $8 million through 29-30.
But are you buying the back nine of Zibanejad? You know,
he's 32 now. I mean,
will be what, 39 or no, 38 at the end of that contract?
36 at the end of it.
36.
Yeah. No, not really. Trocheck to me is interesting. 5.625 for this year and the next 3. So he'll be 35 when that deal is over. I mean, if the Hawks are looking to revamp their veterans, get somebody who can get them to the cap floor, you're moving on from Dickinson probably. You're maybe moving on from Mikheyev. You're probably moving on from Foligno. Vincent Trocheck at 32. That's a guy that can move up and down the lineup, be a really solid player. He wears the A for the Rangers. That's a guy I would be interested in bringing. But I feel like they can probably get more for him from a contender who's looking at him as a final piece, like a team like Minnesota, who's already done a ton to make their team good, and one more big move could probably get them over the hump to be a true contender.
I think if you're the Rangers, though, and you're moving a player like that, you want to maximize your futures assets.
That's true.
Hawks are a team that have a lot of.
They have a ton of draft picks. They have a ton of prospects.
But the thing is, I don't think the Hawks are in a position where they want or necessarily need Vince Trocheck. And when the team is supposed to be like, we're maxing out competitiveness, he's at the end of that deal where he's 34, 35 years old. So,
but at that point, what is it? What did I say it was? 5 point?
5 point, yeah. Yeah, the money doesn't.
That's not a lot of money.
The money doesn't hurt you.
No.
Because, like we were saying with Lafreniere,
you can always just buy it out.
But it's a player that's actively on your roster and in your lineup that costs 5.6. It's not, the Shea Weber, Ryan Ellis situation.
Mr. Hockey 99 says, do Mario and Jay think Taves on a 1-year deal back in Chicago is far-fetched? Yeah. I mean,
I think the question is, does he have another year in him?
I don't know.
If he does, I don't think they're going to do it because they haven't done it with Patrick Kane. They didn't do it.
You could bring them both back next year.
Sure.
Can you imagine?
Sure.
Oh my God.
It's not far fetched. It's just if we've been paying attention to Kyle Davidson, it just does not seem like that's a route he's going to go down.
One thing I like about Kyle Davidson is that he is not sentimental, and you can keep trying to cling to the past and keep doing this stuff, but like, just let the new generation take hold, do their thing. You don't need to bring that whole thing back. And would it help them a little bit? I think Kane would help them. Kane still has something in the tank. I don't know how much Jonathan Taves has left. And, I don't know. I think it's okay to move on. Yeah. It's okay. Like, it was 3 Stanley Cups. It was great. Jonathan Taves got his flowers twice now for everything he did with the Hawks. He's going to get them for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. He will never buy another meal or drink in this town as long as he lives. He will have his number retired. He will be an ambassador. He'll have a role in the organization if he wants it. It's fine. I just don't need him on the ice for the Hawks anymore. As fun as it would be, and as much as it would warm my heart to see Jonathan Taves pull the sweater over his head again, it doesn't accomplish anything hockey-wise.
Do you want to be having the conversation next year of, I think we need to start scratching Jonathan Taves?
Exactly.
No, I don't.
And, yeah, would it be fun? Yes, but we got to think about this in hockey terms. And then
Yeah,
trying to see the name.
Taves and Kane, they're gonna retire as Hawks.
Sherm.
Like that'll be what happens.
Sherm sticks.
So,
yeah, I think a 1-day contract. You also don't need to do that. Does it matter? Does a 1-day contract thing mean anything? Now they officially they're retired as Blackhawks because, did Bobby Holden sign one of those? People still think of him as a Blackhawk.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems they'll probably do it because it's fun. But
it gives you a day to celebrate those.
Don't
guys.
worry, Kane and Taves are Blackhawks. They will be for life, and those numbers will be up there for the rest of eternity.
Yes.
So, yeah. Do we have another mailbag we should get to before we wrap up?
We have 2 more quick ones, I think.
All right.
From Featherhead88 says, could the Blackhawks package either Murphy, Dickinson, or both, and say 2 of our 3 second-round picks to get another first-round pick from a playoff contender this year? We have enough prospects. We have enough prospect volume. I would rather see them push those up the draft order for fewer total picks, especially in a deeper draft like this year's. If you're packaging Murphy and Dickinson together, you got to find a team that can take on $8 million. And
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think you maximize your value by pushing those, by keeping those 2 deals separate.
You could retain on them.
You could. They have 2 retention slots open.
So that would be, what is Murphy?
4.4,
so that's 2.2. Dickinson is 4.2, so that'd be 2.1. So you're looking at, 5.3 million for 2 really good players.
2.3. 4.3, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. I just don't think
look, that makes it if you're a playoff team, that makes you a lot better. To add Connor Murphy and Jason Dickinson, it makes you deeper, makes you tougher, much stronger defensively.
It gives you depth, yeah.
But that is a lot of cap. Even with the retention, that is a lot of cap space to take up. I think that if you want to get back in the first round, Kyle Davidson has the ammunition to do so. He's got the later round picks.
Yeah,
he has traded up into the first, I think, every year since he's been GM.
Well,
or traded up.
First year he got 3 first-round picks when he had 0.
He had 0, exactly.
He didn't trade back into the first round in 23. He tried to move up in the first round to get Oliver Moore, but then he fell into his lap.
Then it just happened anyway.
But then in 24 and 25, he added a first-round pick leading up to the draft.
Michael Evans Spector, I don't know what that means, says Dickinson and Murphy to Colorado for Gavin Brindley, Jack Drury, and a 3rd. Yes, great. I don't think Colorado's interested in that. That'd be amazing.
I
don't know.
I think they're similar.
What's that?
I think Gavin Brindley and Jack Drury are very, very similar.
They're very
to
similar
Dickinson
in
and Murphy.
that
So
I think they'd get lost in the shuffle eventually of the Hawks forward prospects. I don't know how many,
but I'm talking about 2 guys that are walking free agents for 2 pretty high-end prospects that make your prospect pool better, and it makes other prospects tradable if you want to. And I don't know. I would do that in a heartbeat. Those are 2 legitimate prospects.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have too many.
Yeah.
Then trade them. Then train somebody.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to get picks to move up into the first round, you already have enough to do it. So I don't know if I don't know. I think at that point you're running into a lot of redundancy. And then you're trade.
Who do we know in the Hawks system is better than
trade
Brindley or
more
Drury, though?
to trade more prospects? What's that?
Forward wise, who do we think is better than Drury and Brindley? I think probably Frondell. But that's about as far as I'm willing to go with guys I'm assured are going to be better than those 2.
Yeah. Sure. I don't know. I think Moore and Lardis are showing.
They're in the conversation.
They're showing a lot of promise. Ryan Green is definitely getting more opportunity and showing more than I think we expected. I think the ceiling is high for a guy like Nestersil. I think Boisvert's had a injury year, but I think still the raw tools that are there are going to make him probably a top 6 guy. I don't know if Drury or Brindley are long-term top 6 guys. I don't know. I don't think you want to. Having prospect depth is a good thing, obviously, but having just way too many guys to where you're like you're stuck. Then I think you get into a spot where you're too over bloated with young players and you don't know what to do with them. Then you're hurting guys because now you're stashing them in the AHL when they probably could be in the NHL, and it's not doing you any good that they're down there.
But those are the most valuable pieces you have as a GM. Is
Kanserov as well.
Young,
is another one.
Yeah, Kanserov is true. I'll take him over them. But and like that guy Alex says, sleeping on Nestersil, maybe, but we just don't know yet. You know, he's having a great year, looked great in the World Juniors, like of course, and we all have high hopes and really like Nestersil as a prospect. We just don't know what he's going to be when he's a pro. We still don't know what Oliver Moore and Nick Larson are going to be as pros, or Frondell, or any of these guys. Right. So I think we just have to caution, while we feel good about most everything happening in the prospect system, very few of these are guarantees. You dropped something.
I sure did.
All right. Well, right on the new Xfinity Loft rug. It's coffee proof, and you know what? The rug, like Xfinity, knew that was going to happen, saw the problem before it even occurred, and it fixed it. And the rug is the same price for 5 years.
We're going to have to clean
just like Xfinity.
Clean that up.
All right, we're going to wrap the show up so Mario can clean up. We will be back tomorrow pregame. We haven't done a pregame show in forever.
It's been a while.
What time's the game tomorrow? Let's look. I should find out when I have to work. Yeah, 5:30 pre. That'll be fun. And then remember, Friday's game at home against Tampa, 6 p.m.
Nice.
ESPN game. So get ready for that broadcast. We'll talk to you then. We'll talk to you tomorrow and Friday on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.